It's always like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. I have been looking at this product for a very long time now, the GPD, and this is the Plus Edition. I must say that the first time I saw a review here on YouTube, I was thinking, alright, so the GPD Plus Edition, why didn't it do that freaking in the first place? In the past I did review a couple of GPD products, and I can tell you I was quite satisfied with it, because GPD stands for a very nice and most of the time high quality products. But this GPD Plus Edition is basically, as I already said, a Plus Edition, so it's improved in many ways. So the packaging itself looks very nice, I must give them some extra kudos for that. But when you're looking at the main problem with these products nowadays, there are so many handhelds coming out, it's going to be quite difficult to choose which one will be the best one for you. And it's nothing different with this handheld. I really like what you can do with it, and when it comes to certain things you can do with it, playing some games, emulation, this thing has a lot to offer. So it comes with a very nice high quality charger Type-C, a very cool long nice quality cable, and that is the minor things that we're going to see. There are so many interesting parts to it, to this handheld. But let's take a close look at the handheld itself, because this handheld has a lot of potential. In the past I have seen, let's say, handhelds that had the option to use it like a phone, so that is something not really new. It's pretty damn cool that you can use it like a phone with dual SIM. But that's not what we're going to focus on today. I want to take a close look at what can we do when playing games. So what I think is pretty damn cool is the modular system. You can remove the cap over here, and the inside we have the option to add a new attachment, which you can see over here. You slide it in and it looks very nice with two very strong magnetics. And here you can see I need to basically pull it with a lot of force to get it loose. The module system is not something new when you're looking at the normal edition. The Plus edition is basically the same like the previous one, or so what I understand of. So most of what you're going to get is a difference with the specs itself, what we're going to talk about a little bit later. So we do get two extra attachments, just with some basic buttons if you want to use this for Android gaming. And of course, if you want to play some more retro gaming, we do have this special attachment. It feels very lightweighted because it's mostly plastic, a joystick and some buttons. Here we can see the connections and the way how they made it. It's quite interesting, to be honest, and it's very nice to see how nice quality they are making this. Here you can see on the inside we do got these tiny pins that basically make contact with the modules over here, and that's basically how it communicates with each other. And again, like with the previous one, when you slide it in, it works very well and will instantly be recognized by the system itself. So basically you can remove this cap, and when you're having the Android edition where you can just play, for example, you want to have a combination of using this as a game system with a joystick and use the touchscreen and having shortcuts. So we basically have a couple of ways to play. But in this video I want to focus mainly on, let's say, the retro emulation part, but also the gaming with the full attachment with all the buttons, and I will give you my personal opinion about it, what I think of it. Alright guys, so when you're looking at the GPD XP Plus Edition, it comes with Android 11, it comes with a whopping 6GB LPDDR4 memory, then we do have 128GB storage, and when you're looking at the CPU and the GPU, we do have way better specifications, and we will see that we have better results in emulation. But the question remains, this thing is very cool to look at, but how comfortable is it? So at the left side we're going to get ourselves the clickies D-pad. I mean with clickies, it's not your typical, let's say, compares with an old school retro game system. The clickies D-pad got a very short, say, travel, and of course the click to it. I personally really like it, and it feels very well even for fighting games. So we're looking at the joystick, and this is a very nice joystick. It comes with a rubber pad on the top, and overall quality I really like it. Over here at the left bottom we're going to get ourselves the 3 buttons that we're going to need for navigation through the Android navigation menu. For example, here we're going to get ourselves the back button and the one for going back home. Then we're going to get ourselves the select start, another same quality joystick, but there we're going to get the first issue. So when you're looking over here at the ABXY, I personally really like it, but the downside is they are way too small. And the other problem I'm having is the joystick itself. So what do I mean with it? It's very simple. So when you want to play the ABXY, you can see the analog stick is poking into my thumb. So I've watched some videos, and Retro Game Core made a quick video about it. You can remove the joystick over here, and basically that makes this thing way comfortable to play. You don't have this annoying analog stick sticking into your thumb. The only downside is, and the thing I don't like ripping it off, how long will this joystick survive if you're going to basically rip it off the freaking joystick itself? That's the question, of course, of today. And I must say, doing that, I'm not the biggest fan of it. Okay, so at the bottom what we're going to get over here is the two speakers. They are like stereo, but I must say, like, for an expensive product like this, I have heard way better audio when it comes to the quality. Of course, here we're going to implement the SD card. We have a jack out. We're going to slide it out this thing and even like use this thing for, like, say, adding the SIM cards. And of course, then we're going to get ourselves the Type-C connection for charging and data transfer. And over here we're going to get ourselves the volume. I'm very happy that they added a volume control over here. The on-off switch, and then of course we're going to get some ventilation. We also had at the bottom, but this is basically like the exhaust. But you do hear the fan sometimes, and it's not very loud. The thing that I really like are the shoulder buttons. They are placed very well and play very comfortable. So the other thing is, like, beside the position, they come all with micro switches beneath and gives this a very nice feel to it. Another thing I like about it is the shape of the L2 and the R2. They're going to have like an absolutely great shape, so it makes this thing extra comfortable. About comfortable, another thing I really like is the shape at the bottom. So basically, when you're looking at it, it's maybe nothing really special, but when you're holding it in your hand, you feel that this thing plays very comfortable. So when it comes to the shoulder, but also at the back. Because when you're looking at the MoQ i7 as I've reviewed a very long time ago, most handhelds are very flat and I'm just missing some extra grip, especially when you're having some bigger hands. So these things are absolutely like giving the thing an advantage of the competition. But how is it with the menu? Because there we do have like some minor things I don't like. Another thing I really like is the option to have like this modification that we can implement, let's say, physical buttons into the screen itself. So in other words, when you're pressing this tiny button over here, you can navigate, and I did need it for example, the Dolphine emulator. Another thing I need to mention is this tiny button over here. Basically what you can do is connect your physical buttons with the software buttons in emulator. Okay, so let's give you an example. When you're pressing the button over here, we can just translate the physical buttons to the software. So with the emulator, or the Dolphine emulator, somehow I couldn't get like the physical buttons to work, so this is a great opportunity to test it out. For example, if you want to put everything like in a certain position, like A, B, or X and Y, stuff like that, you can put it on here. It's a very nice way to navigate and basically then configure everything. I personally really like it. It will take up some time to basically set everything right. And when you're doing so, you're going to press save and everything will work like a charm without any latency. What you can see over here, everything has been set to a certain position. Let's press save. And okay, what you can do is pressing start, and now you can basically play the game. And you can navigate this in basically every single, like, say, emulator, or also if you want to play some Call of Duty, it works like a charm without any input or input delay. And I think it's a pretty damn cool option, and it will give you like an advantage with some games, especially the Android part. Okay, so let's talk about the display. So the display on this thing is absolutely beautiful. Like, it's a beautiful, crisp, clear, and you can see you're buying a really cool quality product. There are some minor problems I'm having with it personally. To begin with, here you can see like we don't have a square shaped screen. We do have like this round edge over here. I don't really like it, especially when you want to play some widescreen games. Of course, it's a very wide screen, so most of the time, if you're going to play beside PlayStation Portable, it's going to be like ultra stretch. So it's not a big of a deal, especially when you're using 4:3 aspect ratio. Another thing I find quite annoying is the camera at the front. Because it's a phone, you can use it like a phone. But yeah, you can see like this thing is basically in the way. And when you're playing some games and going to be like ultra stretching, it's going to be over your buttons and your game. A little bit of a bummer. I find it quite annoying. Okay, so when booting up, this is what we're going to get. So we do have like the games, cloud, apps and settings. So this thing comes pre-installed with some emulators. But to begin with Dolphine emulator and PPSSPP. So what I don't like about it, with my version, I cannot like update the Dolphine emulator from the Play Store. Kinda weird, but that's how it is. So with cloud, we do have like the option for Steam Link and AMD Link. With apps, we do have all kinds of apps like with your mobile phone, including the freaking Play Store. I basically download through my account some games like Re-Racing we're going to try out, because this thing, that is something I really like about it. It's an Android device, so we can even play beside, like, say, the emulation part. So I think it's like pretty damn cool if you want to have like a multitasking product. Alright, so let's take a close look at the settings. Here we can see what kind of things that we're going to get. To begin with, system settings, here you can see like the model number is the XP+. It comes with Android 11, memory size 6 GB, storage 128 GB, what I find very convenient. It also shows you the build number. So we do have like the display resolution that we can change out. It's now set to 2400 by 1080. So here we do have like something that we can change out. For example, if you have problems with the joystick, you can also test it out over here. So the built-in applications are pretty damn cool, but the only downside I'm having with this, like if you want to basically mess around with it, it's going to be like very difficult because everything has been locked with this firmware. We have seen it before with the previous GPD products, and I'm again like, I'm finding a little bit of bummer that this is what you're going to get out of the box. Nowadays we don't get a manual, but what I like about it, that we do have like the option for a video guide that basically shows you how the product works. And in the 2 minutes, it just shows you how everything works and how you need to basically, for example, switch the fan on and off and stuff like that. I think it's pretty damn cool. They implemented a video inside of the device that shows you how everything is and how everything works. Okay, the first game I wanted to start is Real Racing 3. It's a very demanding game. And what I like about this system, I already told you, is that we do have like the option to play a lot of cool Android games. And with the physical buttons, I think it's so much easier and so much cooler to play. And even the gyro, stuff like that works very well. Alright, so let's talk about the Minecraft part of it. What I really like about these handhelds, that everything works plug and play. It will recognize the controllers like an Xbox 360, so you can just plug and play, start up the game and just playing. You don't need to mess around with this extra option for converting the physical buttons into software. Nothing of that kind of is needed. And you can just play some Minecraft on the go. Alright, so next up, let's play with some PlayStation 1. So what I wanted to try with this, try it on high resolution and just see how it runs on the device in combination with DuckStation. I don't understand if like DuckStation is a little bit better than the PPSSPP. I just wanted to see how it runs. Bloody Virtua seems to be running just fine, even on high resolution. And that is why this device really shines compared with the competition. With the competition we can play, of course, PlayStation 1 most of the time on, let's say, a different emulator, and sometimes even on like lower resolutions. Alright, so next up I want to try some N64 with one of my favorite games, with some Diddy farting. Crap, missed the balloon. Alright, so next up let's try some God of War. And of course this is a game that didn't run on the previous model, and a lot of handhelds will not run it or have a lot of struggle with it. You can see like sometimes it dips down a little bit, but still not to the point that it's unplayable. Here you can see like it dips down to 54. And if you don't want to see that, you can always like implement frame skip. Get like the best and optimal like emulation performance. But for me, it seems to be running just fine. And a minor dip is not a big of a deal. Alright, so next up let's try some Dreamcast with Redream, one of my favorite emulators to use with Android devices. And we can even push this thing very nicely to the higher resolutions, where we do get stuck with, let's say, some basic or better said like normal resolutions with most handhelds. This looks absolutely amazing on this. Okay, so next up, some Virtua Fighter on the Sega Saturn. And on the system, that's difficult to emulate, especially when you're looking at the cheap Android device. We did have like a lot of issues, but you can see on native resolution we don't have any issues whatsoever. Besides maybe some minor glitching here and there. Here you can see like the KO is glitching, stuff like that. But there's more, I think, a problem with the emulator than it's actually like a problem with the hardware itself. Because you can see like the gameplay itself is pretty damn good. Alright, so for the final test I wanted to go into the Dolphine emulator. And I've seen and heard that this thing is able to run some of the Dolphine, or better said, GameCube games. Also the vibration works, I don't know if you can hear it. But surprisingly we do have like way better performance than most handhelds when it comes to Dolphine, because there we find the biggest limitation of most Android devices. But here we're going to get a big problem. So the first thing we're going to do is remove this bloody thing, what I already mentioned before. That makes it way better to play. Another thing I've noticed, like, if you basically want to use two buttons at the same time, you know, like I have a lot of problem like freaking pressing it, you know, like trying to step on the acceleration and then try to use the turbo or the boost. And there we're going to find the limitations of this piece of hardware. You can play it like this, putting your fingers in a weird like situation. The analog stick, I really like it, very responsive. And even with the software I'm using, or the conversion software from the physical to the software, it works absolutely great. But you can see the overall performance of GameCube is pretty damn good. So that's absolutely a win for the GPD when it comes to the emulation performance. But again, the right joystick, I am not a big fan of it. Especially when you don't remove the joystick itself. The modular system is pretty damn cool, but they need to improve the right part over it. If they would do that, it would be so much better. Alright, so let's top it up with PlayStation 2 on this device and make this an absolutely cool PlayStation 2 portable device. But of course, when it comes to PlayStation Portable and Ether SX2, I really love the emulator. I'm very happy that they made something that runs very well. But on a device like this, we do have the problem that it doesn't run perfectly. A little bit of a bummer. Maybe you can mess around with it to get a little bit better frame rate. You can see like it gets stuck on 30. And this is of course not the way you want to play games. Maybe with tweaking and a lot of messing around, you can maybe get some games to run better. But I think like PlayStation 2 is too much to ask from this handheld. So yeah, in this case there is no PlayStation 2 portable. Nope. So when it comes to this device, we do have like some pros and cons. So let's talk about the cons. The biggest con, I think, is like this thing does have like a horrible, let's say, A, B, X and Y button. In combination with the bloody joystick that's in the way and basically sticking in my thumb, that's a bigger problem. And they can just basically replace it by just removing this bad boy and saying, you know, let's remove it with a different module. And that is something they can do in the future. I'm hoping they will do. So the positive thing is like the Plus Edition, I already said in the beginning of this video, they should have done it in the first place. And basically have something against the competition, because there is so much stuff coming out now that we do have like so many different choices. And yeah, I think the price point of this is not of course lying, because it's a quite expensive thing to buy. So yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you think of this? Do you think it's worth the extra money and having all the awesome features like Android touchscreen, and or do you like prefer to have like just a normal regular Embernick, Pauke or other brand? Let me know what do you think of this. But thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit that little bell, become a Wicked family, and it would be great to see you in the next video.